So, welcome back to another Young Blooms tutorial. You won't see my face for a while because I think the first stage of this is going to be construction. And you can see here, just literally got it's a metal hoop covered in plastic, and I think it's 40 centimetres wide. So I bought a set of 3 different sizes, and essentially I'm going to cover this with 4 pieces of chicken wire. The measurements I think are 40 centimetres by 8 centimetres. So I've chopped these up. This is the green plastic covered chicken wire, much nicer on your hands. So essentially we're going to use flat moss and then cover the moss with the chicken wire and then create that hoop for us to be able to put flowers into. So that's the game plan. But this is right at the beginning, so you can see exactly how I'm doing it. Because when it's all covered in moss, then we'll start construction. But this is stage 1. So let's get started. So the first thing that ideally you want to do is just to lace these bits of chicken wire together. I might do it this way. So these are the 40 centimetre long pieces that I've chopped, and I've just cut myself some stub wires in 2, so I've got a short piece, so I've got 3 of those short pieces, and all I'm doing is just threading in the wire between the 2, being a bit cat-handed, and just tightening it. So one at the top, one in the middle, and just to hold the chicken wire together, and then one at the bottom. So just make sure they're nice and tight. Obviously the wire will stretch, the chicken wire will stretch as it gets placed around the hoop, but that'll give it some sort of security. So then what we'll do is start then packing this with moss and then laying the hoop on top. But just to get yourself started, you just need to attach these 2 together, and then you've got the other 2 here. So then we'll have a long line of chicken wire all attached, and then that could become our circle to place around the hoop. So hopefully that makes sense. But that's stage, what are we on? I don't know, stage 2, 3. But let's keep going. So before we put the chicken wire on, we need to attach ropes. And I've just got some fairly thick white. It's not the most attractive, but it's nice and sturdy. So I've tied 3 pieces, and I've tied 1 piece on already, just doing I'm rubbish with knots, but whatever knot that is. So I'm going to do it in 3 different places. This feels like a knot that's going to be sturdy. Because you just want it to be secure as possible, and then put the third one on so that it balances out. So tie this one on. There we go. So we've got 3 knots. It'll just allow us to once I can get them in the right place. There we go. And then we can sort of hang it up. There you go. So we can hang it up And what I'll do is I will thread these through. So just going to lay, this might all look a bit messy, but bear with me. So what I'll do is I will get the end of the rope and in the middle, so I'm just threading it through the chicken wire. And what that'll do is just lock it into place. So I'm doing this by eye, really. Get the second rope and thread it through, so you can see, thread it through the chicken wire. There we go. Get there. This bit's going to be fiddly. I think it always is when you're getting, you're getting mechanics into place. Worth persevering and just keeping going. And this is something that you haven't done before, so it's going to be an interesting sort of process to try and do it so that you feel comfortable with the design. I think with mechanics like this it's worth practicing. It's worth making sure. There we go. And now you can see, I know it looks messy on camera, but you've got then the chicken wire in place, and you can start layering in the moss and then sort of tying it all up. So hopefully that makes sense. I've got 3 points with the ropes. I've threaded the rope through the chicken wire and then just laying the hoop on top. And once the moss comes, then I'll start packing it in around here and then sort of closing up these hoops. So you can see a very close-up picture of this moss. This is the flat moss that I was talking about, and the nice thing is that this comes in boxes, like you can see the white of the box, but it comes in sheets, so it's just kind of easier to manage rather than a big bag. So look out for it in your wholesaler, but this is the moss I'm going to use to create a hoop. So let's get started. Okay, so like I said, this is flat moss that we're playing with, and the nice thing is, because it is sort of sheets of moss, is you can slide it down and you'll make a terrific mess, don't worry. But you can kind of see, you sort of jimmy it down, whatever the word is, and then you're going to get your covering of moss, so you can kind of see it's creating that structure that we want. So again, go around, so another piece of flat moss, just going to slide it down between the hoop and the chicken wire. So it's creating that design that we want. And I think probably what you'll find is you'll need to pack bits in here and there just to kind of fill the gaps. Round by the rope, I think, where the points of the rope are fed through the chicken wire, you'll need to slide bits down. So there we go. And when this is all sort of fed through, then we can soak the living daylights out of it. Make sure it's really drenched. And moss, I think, you can go and forage it. I mean, I don't know what people's opinions are on foraging moss. I don't, like I say, I work on a farm, my workshop's on a farm, and I can go and get bits and bobs, but I don't know how I feel about it. I guess it's easier getting it from the wholesaler, but yes. Right, so last piece going in. And again, this will probably all look really messy to you, but it will make sense when we start threading all of this up together. So I'm just going to get myself started with the threading and get to a point where you can see a bit more of what's going on. But that's the idea. And like I say, it looks incredibly messy at the moment, but that's okay. So I'm just going to get myself some wire, and then we can start gathering and wiring this all up. So you can see that I've started creating the sausage shape of moss and chicken wire around this hoop. So I'm just going to show you how I've done that. I'm using real wire, so quite a fine wire. I'm cutting myself a decent length. So all I'm doing is just starting it off on one side, making sure it's nice and tight, and then threading it back and forth. So going back and forth between the two. And you kind of have to lever it a bit so it closes nice and tightly. Just be warned, this wire is not particularly kind on your hands, but yeah, you're just threading basically. And it's that one layer of moss, that's all I've put in and now attached. And it's fat enough to just do the job, which is quite nice. So back to the other side. Again, you know, this feels like quite a lengthy process, but it's worth making sure that it's really secure. And it's not going to go anywhere, because that would be the worst. You wouldn't want this collapsing on someone's head. There we go. Right, so it sort of closes it up quite nicely. So I'll carry on and get this finished and come back to you when it's done. So there you go, all threaded up, all mossed up, so it's a fairly solid structure for us to play with and arrange flowers in. So I'm going to soak it with water, just make sure it's really drenched, and then we'll have a play. So quite excited by this, and excited to see how it sort of turns out. But that's a good mechanic. Takes time, worth persevering, but it feels, you know, it feels nice and secure, and it will do the job, I think. So I just wanted to show you the kind of basics of how you would make something like this, and you could size it up quite easily. You know, you get a bigger hoop, you get more moss, because to a certain extent this will only take a limited amount of material. But it's a useful mechanic, and I think that's the main aim of doing it. So it's something that's fairly sturdy. The way that you've made it means that it's not going to drop from the ceiling anytime soon. Once it gets soaked, it will obviously become heavier, but it's working that out, I think, as you go. But I just want this to be a useful sort of starting point for you to be able to think, okay, I could make something with that. And so that really is the purpose of the Flower School. The YouTube channel is a kind of runway into the Flower School and hopefully gives you an idea of what tutorials are like. So the second part of this tutorial will be hanging it up and then putting the flower material in, thinking about how that will work for a wedding or for an occasion. You know, all of the things you've got to think around that, what type of materials you'll use. you know, what flowers work, what flowers don't, you know, wiring flowers into something like this hoop, because that will be an interesting topic of conversation. But yeah, I think the school is there to encourage, there to for people to enjoy. I was talking to a lady this morning who's just joined the flower school, and she just loves flowers. She just loves arranging flowers. She has a fairly high-powered job, and for her, coming away from that and going into the garden and being able to arrange flowers or to grow flowers, all that kind of stuff, is something that she's really passionate about. So the school is there to help people, to encourage, to help them grow as flower lovers or florists or starting out, all that kind of stuff. That's what the school is there for. So hopefully you found this helpful, enjoyed it. Do leave comments below if you've got questions, quite happy to answer. And thank you to all of the new subscribers, really appreciate you coming on board. It's lovely to watch the YouTube channel grow, and do share these videos if you like them and you find them helpful, and I look forward to seeing you next time.